Are you wanting to heal your relationship? Or maybe you're not sure, but you'd like to explore the idea, and that's led you to this podcast. I'm Morgan Robinson, and my husband Brad is an international affair recovery expert. Together, we founded Marriage Solutions, a multi-location group marriage counseling private practice devoted exclusively to helping couples heal and rebuild their relationship to stronger than ever before. In fact, we're the best reviewed couples therapists in the Midwest. Check us out at mymarriagecheckup.com. Welcome to episode 52 of Healing Broken Trust podcast. I'm Morgan Robinson.
And I am Brad Robinson.
And today we're talking about danger signs that someone is vulnerable to cheating. Right, Brad?
Yeah, we're going to talk about these a few danger signs. We've got about 12 of them, but we're only going to be able to discuss 3 of them today that are danger signs that someone is vulnerable to cheating. And so the first, I'll just say, is that there's emotional distance in the marriage. So you are either, holding back emotionally, or they're not confiding in you emotionally. You're caught in that negative cycle that we've discussed before. You can go back to why we fight, or that'll talk about negative cycles, but there's that negative cycle in the relationship. The other is there's really just an opportunity to cheat. As sad as that is to say, a lot of people, given the opportunity to cheat, do cheat, because there's that emotional distance in the marriage. And so, if there's somebody who travels a lot, if there's somebody who is put into compromising situations, that is, if they have that opportunity to cheat, and it can be anonymous, many people do. Workshops, conventions, when people have to travel for those kinds of things, those things are rife with infidelity.
And sometimes that, there's different types of infidelity as well, right? We have 10 different types.
Oh, yeah.
So we talk about that in a previous episode as well. So it may not be all-out sexual contact, but it could be, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it may not necessarily be an emotional affair, but it's definitely, oftentimes sexual affairs. I've had people who've developed one-night stands. One time, this was early on in my career, I had somebody who lived like 18 hours away from us, but they met at a convention with my client, had an affair with him, one night stand, and was also sleeping with other men at the convention. And she had a boyfriend back home, and while they were in therapy, the affair partner was coaching him on what the therapist was going to say, how counseling was going to go. Like, she had been around the block before, and she wanted to be desired. It's no longer a diagnosable personality disorder, but she just, from his description, it sounded like she had characteristics of histrionic personality disorder, which is no longer something that's, diagnosable. But it was looking back years later, it's very humorous that this is somebody that had done it a lot and who traveled for work and for conventions and knew what she was doing, and acted against it and knew she was hurting families and things like that. But her insecurity, she didn't care. Her insecurities and wanting to feel wanted were stronger than who she was hurting. And that may be a topic of another podcast, because I've got a lot of stories about affair partners that were just BS crazy. And so anyway, so there's the emotional distance in the marriage. Just because there's emotional distance doesn't mean someone's going to cheat. There's other things that are there. They're preyed upon.
They're preyed upon by the affair partner.
Yeah, I've had people, not everybody's like just somebody who's happy-go-lucky and falls into a pothole and sprains their ankle. Like, some people, are desperate and they'll seek it out. But some people are preyed upon. And had another situation where a gentleman, somebody he went to school with, found him years later, contacted him, and this person was another person who was crazy, and they found him Even came to his house, met his wife, acted like somebody who was stranded, and just a terrible situation because they knew what they were doing and just preyed on him, and then began to blackmail him after he wanted out. After a brief period of time, he wanted out. And you can have somebody who doesn't feel close in a marriage, who doesn't feel happy in a marriage, but if they're preyed upon by someone else, or if they have the opportunity to travel and opportunity to cheat, maybe they'll flirt with boundaries, they'll flirt with bad social situations. If alcohol's mixed in, there's a wise old saying that bad company corrupts good morals, and it's very true. Nobody's above that. I've had people who have done other things traveling for work, who've gone, who are good people, good honest people, who got around the wrong crowd, and you throw in some alcohol, there you go. And Morgan, I'm not immune from this. I feel like if I had an affair, I'd be the dumbest person on the planet because I deal with this every day and I see the pain of it. But nobody's immune from, social pressure or being burnt out in your marriage, not feeling close and connected, and then having the opportunity factor. You think you're going to be anonymous, and you think, well, I just got to ask for forgiveness from God. God's going to forgive me, so, they won't know. God will forgive me. And so there's the opportunity component. And then the other component, let me turn over my page because we can't get through all 12 today, but the other component is, and it ties into what I'm talking about, is that it's having good, upright, moral character isn't enough to prevent an affair. It helps to a degree, but, and I've said this before and it's worth repeating because it's an absolutely important concept, is, most everybody has a very conservative view of marriage, meaning that when they get married, they're getting married for life. They intend to stay married. They're not thinking, well, we're only going to be together for a few years until I get tired of your crap, and then we're done. They're thinking, we're going to take care of each other in old age. We're going to be with each other forever. And you have I've had people who've been deeply religious, people who weren't deeply religious, who still had similar ideas about marriage. It's a lifelong commitment, and who are going to stick with it regardless. But because they weren't getting their emotional needs met, they began to care less and less and less. It's like you start out at a new job and you're all enthusiastic about it and the job goes great. And then, your boss sometimes says mean things. Your boss sometimes is unpredictable and work isn't what you thought it was going to be. And your coworkers aren't what you thought it was going to be. This job has allowed you to take such a big pay raise that you can now put your kids in private school. You can now get that new car that you want. You can now, go on that dream vacation every year. After a while, though, because the job is such a drain and nag, and it's kind of a once in a lifetime opportunity. There's nothing like it. You will begin to start second guessing. Do I really want this job? And you'll begin to you'll even go work somewhere else for less just because you're gonna have more peace of mind. And that's how people act. Eventually when it starts wearing on them enough, that's how some marriages, can influence infidelity, when people have this strong commitment to making their marriage work.
So you're saying, clear? I think so, but so you're saying that basically it could be a great marriage, once in a lifetime, awesome thing, but then you get stuck in a rut? You
get stuck in a negative cycle, and, oftentimes it's for years where you're not feeling close, you're not connecting. There's this distance. It's like having that job promotion that you loved, but it's, and it gives you this great enhancement in your lifestyle where you can take your kids into a new school.
But then you kind of see the other side of the picture where it's like, oh, it's this great, rosy colored glasses. And then all of a sudden you get in there and you're in the mix of things and it's not as glamorous as maybe you thought it would be. And then it sort of opens the door for you to maybe think about stepping out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of the same thing. This is a job I'm going to stay with. I'm going to work with them forever because it's enhanced my lifestyle so much. But because it's such a drag on you, you just decide, you know what? I can't keep doing this. It's not worth the money. It's not worth the opportunity it's given my family. I can't keep sacrificing like this.
Right.
And so people do that in marriage too.
Okay.
And then they're ripe for the if they're in bad, so basically you can have people who have good, upright, moral character, but if they're pushed so much and so far, moral character helps, but if you're very vulnerable in your marriage and you don't care as much, you can have good moral character that will only get you so far.
Gotcha.
And so you've got to remove yourself from environments that are emotionally and physically tempting. So you've got to remove yourself from environments that are emotionally and physically tempting, that are a drain on you, that are hurting you. Mm-hmm. And so there's more than this, but
right,
it is Labor Day as we're recording this, so we're not going to go through all 12.
Right, so you've got 12 on this list, but it sounds like if there's one thing that we're going to talk about today, the one thing you just said is remove yourself from the temptation. Remove yourself from the tempting situations that could take what was once a great marriage really fast to the bottom, to the bad, to a bad place, right? So,
like if you're an alcoholic, you can't have alcohol in your home. You can't. If you're a true blue alcoholic, you can't have a spouse who drinks socially in front of you or who keeps alcohol in the home. Unless it's 20 years since you've had a sip, but you've got to remove that stuff from your life because you can't rely on willpower. Willpower is good in short spurts and short durations, but you got to structure your environment in such a way that you're not encountering this temptation 24/7.
Right.
And so those are the ideas. There's 12 more, but today's Labor Day, so we're going to hop off here.
So what we're going to do is we're going to take the rest of the danger signs and we're going to put them on our website so you can download them. So go to healingbrokentrust.com and download the danger signs for cheating, right, Brad?
Yeah, download the danger signs that your relationship is vulnerable to one of you straying.
Okay.
To you or your partner straying. That's what you're going to download.
Okay, awesome. So all you have to do is go to healingbrokentrust.com, check it out, and we'll talk to you next week. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Healing Broken Trust podcast. As always, this information is for education and entertainment purposes only.